What's up, guys? It's Scotty here with Flat Track Flashback, and we're coming off a really busy weekend of racing. There's a lot to talk about on today's video. Not going to be able to get to everything, but I definitely want to make sure to put a lot of focus on the Mission Foods Corey Texter promotions race that took place in Harpster, Ohio. A lot of amazing action going on over there. Also want to touch on FIM Round 2, a little bit of Speedway GP doubleheader action that happened. But before we get into the video, just want to once again remind you guys that if you're in a position to do so, please consider donating to the Tyler Seguin Memorial Fund, that GoFundMe page, to help out Tyler's family during this time as they go through this grieving process. If you're in a position to do so, please consider helping out that cause and also back on track with all that they do to help injured riders in our sport. And we're so fortunate to have them involved in flat track racing. If you're in a position to contribute to those organizations or causes, please consider doing so. It goes a long way, and we just thank you guys so much for being so supportive and helping out this flat track family. All right, Mission Foods CTR Flat Track Series back in action over the weekend at Triangle Motorcycle Club in Harpster, Ohio. A sick cushion half mile that just provided highlight after highlight throughout the weekend. Super cool little facility, nice little pond there in the middle. Looks really picturesque. Had this interesting little hump right past the start-finish line on the front straightaway. A lot of rain over the weekend. They had to sort of block off the bottom of the racetrack, and that definitely narrowed things out a little bit on the racing surface, but still provided some incredible racing action on the weekend. And starting with Group 1, we're going to start with the youth and vet classes. They weren't as heavily impacted by the weather. We'll get to that later on. But yeah, just some amazing racing in these classes. First things first, Doug Davis can absolutely rip. Seeing him out there just full send in Group 1, we're seeing a lot of youth classes out there. So a lot of riders still cutting their teeth and getting comfortable on machines, smaller displacements. But man, when Doug Davis hit the track, it was just a showcase and so much fun to watch Doug just rip around that racetrack. Obviously, he would have no trouble being victorious in the 60-plus class, winning both on the weekend with Davey Durrell not competing in that class this weekend. Davey would save it for the 50-plus class at night. So Doug Davis, weekend sweep of the 60-plus class there during the day. And the 50cc classes, so Cruz Texter continues his perfect year in the 50cc chain class, just far and away the fastest rider in that class on the weekend. But he had a rivalry throughout the weekend with Cooper Mendiola, and these two put together just an amazing battle throughout the weekend. Both days, multiple passes in the 50cc air-cooled class, and it set up two just drag races to the finish. On day one, Mendiola would get the better of Cruz by just 1/10 of a second, and then flip it to day two, and this time it would be Texter's turn as Cruz would get the victory in that class on day two by just 68 one-thousandths of a second. That is amazing to see those two riders just getting after it on the 50cc bikes. And Cruz has been dominant on the 50cc bikes throughout the year, but man, he had quite the battle throughout the weekend there with Cooper in the 50cc air-cooled class. Just a great way to start off the racing action on the weekend, and so much fun to see those guys dice it up. Additionally, Jackson Joyner would not be competing in the 65cc class, so that opened the door for a new winner there, and Cruz would burst through that door as well on day one, making a pass around Odin Music and picking up his first 65cc victory of the season. Unfortunately for Cruz, a mistake on day two would prevent him from picking up a weekend sweep there, but it's been coming. We've been waiting for it to happen all year. He's been so close a couple of times. Odin Music finally gets a victory in the 65 class. Congratulations to Odin picking up a victory there. And it's going to be fun to watch those two continue to duke it out in the 65cc class on the year. Now, for me, the highlight of Group 1 is always the 85cc and Super Mini classes. The depth in these fields and the racing that they've put on this year in the Mission Foods CTR Flat Track Series has been next level. And it's so fun to see these riders really making a name for themselves. And we had 5 riders really in the mix for these victories all weekend. So much great battling throughout. You had Wesley Settle, Jackson Joyner, Jaden Nickens, Lucy Heaton-New, Brentley Kreminger, all up in the mix, especially in that first 85cc main event on Friday. And Jaden Nickens and Jackson Joyner, Lucy Heaton-New, battling for the lead. And Lucy would get around Jaden at one point. Jaden would answer back and get back to the lead, but it would be Wesley Settle proving why he is nicknamed the Animal. He was ripping the outside around Harpster, was as far back as fifth at one point, and charged to the lead, makes a last lap pass on Jaden Nickens for the victory in the 85cc class on day one. It'd be Wesley's first victory in that class on the weekend, and the Animal would not be done. In fact, the only time the Animal would get tamed on the weekend would be in the Super Mini class on day one, where Lucy Heaton-New got a whole shot in that, or got a great start in that, and was able to parlay that great start into a victory. Her second win in the Super Mini class on the season. Rode a great race. Wesley was challenging her, but she was holding a really strong line, would even move up a little bit to block the line that Settle was having, and he wouldn't really get close enough to make a charge on Lucy that first day in the Super Mini class. Lucy comes home victorious there. On day two, though, the Animal, with the sweep of Saturday, wins the 85cc class by north of 2 seconds, but Lucy made him work for the Super Mini main event on that second day. It wasn't going to be easy, and Lucy Heaton-New has really come on strong. She was really impressive there in Callahan, consistent rides, not fighting for victories down there, but then Salem comes around and just continues to progress throughout that weekend. And man, so impressive at Harpster, running up toward the front in every single race, picking up that victory on the first day, but having to ultimately settle for second place finishes on day two behind Wesley Settle. And this 85cc class just giving us so much excitement moving forward. We're not that far away from the Flat Track Grand Championships here in the beginning of July, and man, just a little taste of what to expect when that rolls around. I'm going to probably mention the Amateur Nationals several times throughout this video, because Harpster, Ohio really proved to be sort of a window into what to expect when we roll into Du Quoin for Amateur Nationals there at the end of June, beginning of July. And just so many riders building momentum and showcasing some of the battles that we're going to be ready to expect when Amateur Nationals rolls around this year. Closing out Group 1, Deegan Lickfeld, who's a really fast rider on the 250 class. He and Jackson Settle were going to be the ones to watch in the Open Novice class on the weekend. Settle had an issue on day one, but Lickfeld was not going to be challenged that day anyway. He already had a commanding lead at that point. Deegan pulls the weekend sweep in the Open Novice class. Jackson Settle was close on day two, but not able to take the victory away from Deegan Lickfeld. In the vintage class, we got to see Mike Ashton and Ben Evans have quite a battle on the first day. Ben Evans would end up prevailing over Ashton, who at times looked to have the faster bike. He actually had a moment on the later stages of that race on day one, looking to make a pass around Evans as the two encountered lap traffic. But Ashton got too wide, almost ran off the track. Apparently, he might have actually run off the track a little bit on the back straightaway, just using up every inch of Triangle Motorcycle Club, trying to make a move around Ben Evans. But Evans would be victorious in the vintage class on day one. Day two, rider counts dropped, and weather in the region all throughout the weekend. Really, once again, it's just like a common theme with the Mission CTR Flat Track Series. It's how are they going to deal with the weather that comes through? And so the rider counts a little bit lower on day two. Benjamin Miller would be the one to pick up the victory on day two, as the vintage class and the 60-plus class would be combined on that second day of racing. So that'll put a close on Group 1 from Triangle Motorcycle Club and Harpster, and we just look forward to seeing all these youth riders continue to battle it out throughout the season, whether it be Amateur Nationals or at the remaining rounds of the Mission CTR Flat Track Series. Those championship fights are getting really, really tight as we head into the penultimate event there in Peoria in July. All right, Group 2. Your higher displacement amateur classes, your experts, and man, these events just attract so many top riders. The expert class, we had both American Flat Track points leaders in the house. Briar Bauman was there on a twin. Tom Drain showing up, his first appearance in the Mission Food CTR Flat Track Series of 2025, and Drain currently leading the AFT singles class presented by Kicker. In addition to Tom, you also had Cody Kopp returning to the grid for the weekend to mix it up on the half mile. The Turner Racing bikes were super strong with Bruner and Walker Porter. We had several other twins in the house, not just Briar, but Bronson Bauman brought out a twin. James Ott on the G&G Yamaha. Trent Lowe was on the Honda twin for the weekend. So several riders on twins. Ben Lau also in the house on a twin, just to mix in with the top singles riders that showed out to compete. Trevor Martin is a rider to keep an eye on. Trevor was super fast, and we look forward to his debut at Lima. Trevor on day one, really, really quick in qualifying, was not too far out of the hunt in those heat races. Unfortunately for Group 2, they would be impacted by weather on the first day. You started to see rainfall in those expert heats and during the 250 LCQ, and it just became too much, too late in the day. So unfortunately, day one would be called based on heat results. That would see Trevor Bruner pick up both victories there. Day two, the weather cleared though, and we got to see Tom Drain, Cody Kopp, and Trevor Bruner just launch to the front of the pack. These guys would be the class of the field throughout the weekend for the experts. So fun to watch them battle it out on the track. And in the Mission Challenge, it would be Tom Drain finding success there. He would pick up that check on the weekend, getting the better of Bruner and Kopp on that particular occasion. And then we carry it into the main events. So again, sun's out. The track was gnarly at this time. There were several moments going into 3 and 4 where riders were getting bucked out of the saddle. At times I thought Bruner was going to lose the bike. Bruner, Kopp, and Drain battling it out in the Premier Expert class there on the second day there Saturday. And Kopp and Bruner exchanged the lead and would have a good little battle there toward the end of the race. There was a moment where Kopp almost connected with the rear tire of Trevor coming off of turn 4. That sort of gapped Trevor enough from Cody to allow Trevor to come home with a victory in the Premier Expert class on day 2. And Trevor and Cody and Tom had over a full straightaway on the rest of the field. I mean, these guys were just ripping around Harpster, Ohio on the weekend. And it looked like Trevor was poised to pick up a weekend sweep of main events on the final event of the weekend, the Open Expert main event there on Saturday, late in the day. Everybody's got the sun visors on. That sunset was getting a little brutal, but Bruner's able to get out front. Tom Drain in tow. About 3 laps into the main event, we see Tom Drain with an issue. He pulls off, and Bruner looked like he was home free. But unfortunately, with about 3 laps to go, Bruner has to pull off on the back straightaway, and so the weekend sweep no more. Cody Kopp inherits the lead at that point, and he was able to close out the weekend with a victory in the Open Expert class. Cody comes home in first place with Trevor Martin coming home second, and then Max Whale beats out Briar Bauman for third. Briar, after that weekend sweep in Salem, hopping on the twin at Harpster, but the best he could muster on the weekend would be a couple of fourth-place finishes on the weekend with that Harley twin, as they, we're all looking to get a few laps on a cushion track before the series hits Lima here at the end of the month. But really impressive rides from Bruner. So fun seeing Cody Kopp building success in the Moto America Talent Cup, and then to come back here to the dirt and have some fun with the boys. It was funny. Earlier in practice on day 1, Tom Drain gave Cody quite the welcome back with just a dive bomb move into 3 and 4 during Premier Expert qualifying. And man, just again, Bruner, Tom, and Cody were so fun to watch toward the front of the pack all weekend. I need to give a huge kudos also to Walker Porter, who picked up a heat race victory there in the Premier Expert class on Friday. Again, with the weather in the area, Walker would be scored with a podium finish on that day behind Trevor. So not a bad weekend for Turner Racing there in Harpster, Ohio. So we mentioned Moto America Talent Cup riders, and there was a couple more in the house, a couple Australians who gave us a treat in and just give us, again, a preview for what you're going to see at Amateur Nationals. And we got to see Bodie Page and Sam Drain back in the house. And Bodie was just, if Wesley the Animal Settle is going to be a nickname, Bodie the Beast Page is got to be close behind, because this kid was flying from just practice 1 for 450 amateur on Friday. Bodie was on another level. He was just flying around this track, and some guys just have that style of track or facility that just fits into all their skill set. And we know how talented Bodie is as a rider, but Callahan just hasn't really been his forte the past couple of years. But man, he just unloaded fast and was ripping around Harpster, Ohio. Bodie would be credited with both main event victories on day 1 in the rain shortened program, and then day 2 there was no amount of restarts or challenges from Sam Drain that were going to stop Bodie on this day. But he and Sam exchanged the lead several times in the 450 amateur main event, sliding each other for the lead, putting on a show for the fans in attendance. It looked like on that second day that toward the end of the day, the bottom was really sort of the place to be, especially during that 450 amateur main event. Bodie and Sam really sort of hugging the bottom at times. But eventually Bodie would get around Sam late in the race and pull away for a victory. In the Open amateur main event, different story. Bodie Page able to get a comfortable lead. They were moving up a little bit more on the track during this event, but Page comes home victorious, gets the weekend sweep for the amateur classes ahead of Sam Drain, and these two are going to continue to battle throughout the year. It's so fun when they are mixing it up on the Moto America grids, and then we love to see them back on the dirt. Australia with a great weekend of racing there in Harpster, Ohio, repping big time in amateur flat track right now, not just Page and Drain, but also Lucy Heaton New. And then Jed Fife picks up 2 victories in the 250 class on the weekend, a really commanding victory on the second day. Although Bane Nance looked like was closing on him in the late stages of that event. And at times, it looked like Deegan Lickfelt might be able to challenge him, but a mistake by Lickfelt would put him further back in that main event and allow Nance to take over second. Braxton Reagan would come home third in that 250 race on the second day. But again, yeah, Australia showing out. Jed Fife, Lucy Heaton New, Bodie Page, Sam Drain, super impressive. And it's just awesome to see flat track racing gaining so much momentum and seeing so many of these really fast riders from across the world, not just featured here in the States. So we'll see how that shapes up when Amateur Nationals rolls around. Before hopping off of the top amateur classes here, there was something I wanted to point out, and the geese at this track had the audacity to run in front of the field at one point. And Sean Rupert had nowhere to go. I don't know how the whole field didn't crash at that point, but the geese took out Rupert, and that's something I don't think I've ever seen. We've had close encounters with wildlife, with jackrabbits in Arizona and turtles in Oklahoma, but like a full flock of geese just running to the pond. They tried to ruin Robbie Bobby's rental ride there on Friday when he was packing in the track there, taking a lap, showing us around the facility on social media, and then they decided to seek revenge. Maybe they were trying to slow Bodie down. I don't know, but they ended up taking out Sean there in that amateur race, and just a wild scene there. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Don't run in front of the track, guys. What are you doing? We've got these geese up here in UNC Charlotte that are some of the meanest creatures on the planet. And I'm just not, I don't mess with geese. I don't mess with geese. I can't stand spiders, and don't come at me with snakes either. So got to give a huge kudos to Charlie Jakes, who has really, really impressed lately this year. And then just to come out at Harpster and be right there in the hunt for podiums. I figured the likes of Brody Hansen, Jack Brooks, Cody Mishy, the Aiden Savages, like those riders would be the ones fighting for that extra spot up there on the podium. And just kind of overlooked Charlie. And he put together great rides all weekend, was fast throughout the weekend there in Harpster, picked up a 3rd place finish there, and was just, either on or right off the podium, right there in the mix for that final spot, with Page and Drain really checked out. It sort of left the likes of, Brooks, Jackson, Mishy, and the rest to fight for 3rd place. Unfortunately for Mishy, he would have a really scary crash in the open amateur main event, went down right in front of the field. Fortunately, everybody missed him. He'd be okay, but would not finish that race. Very impressive rides from several of these amateurs. Mishy's been really hot in this class, been really fast on these cushion tracks. Just nobody had anything for Bodie Page and Sam Drain on the week. Remember we talked about how fast Doug Davis was? Well, he would also pick up both 50-plus victories on the weekend. And on the second day, he and Davey Durrell had a fun little battle, exchanging the lead back and forth. Doug was riding a higher line, Davey hugging the inside. And, no shade to Davey, but it looked like Doug was just out there having fun and almost toying with him at times. Because late in the race there on Saturday, Doug dropped the hammer and really pulled away, and would pick up the weekend sweep there in the 50-plus class. 40-plus class, Greg Boyle victorious in both main events there. The 30-plus class would see a split with Tony Pearson being credited the winner on Friday, and then Kyle Snyder gets his first victory of the season in the 30-plus class in runaway fashion there on Saturday. Kyle hopping aboard the Beta 4-stroke after he'd been riding that 2-stroke all season. And with Will Harris not in the house, Kyle's going to be right there in the points lead and looking to be in a good spot there in the 30-plus class for that championship. Vincent Zachary, the only hooligan in the house, he gets the scores there for the hooligan class, gets the weekend sweep there. We had a few scary incidents with several riders going down. The ambulance was having to work overtime there in Harpster. Our thoughts go out to all the injured riders. Hope everybody's going to be okay. Harpster became very grueling. I mean, it's a cushion half mile. You know what you're getting into. It's going to be physically demanding. It's going to be rough, and you got to get after it out there. And just so impressed with the entire team at Triangle Motorcycle Club to get that track in shape after the rain they got over the weekend and provide an amazing facility of racing. Go back on Fans Choice, watch those replays. The racing was incredible, and there's so many moments where you're just holding on to the edge of your seat. It's close battles, and so much fun to watch these riders and what they're able to do on these types of tracks. And man, I'm excited for for Lima coming up here at the end of June as we get back to AFT racing. And then the Mission Food CTR Flat Track Series will be back in action at Peoria Speedway. As we talked about, a little bit of a conflict there with the Lucas Oil AFT rounds, but we know where the best amateur riders in the country are going to be. They're going to be at Peoria, chasing championships in the Mission CTR Flat Track Series. The FIM Flat Track Series was also in action over the weekend, round 2 taking place in Germany. Erwin Krajcevic looking to continue his momentum after a controversial victory in Italy, and his challengers, Andre Svedjic, Sammy Halbert, and the rest, breathing down his throat, looking to close up that championship. It's a 6-round series, so every one of these races is vital, and Andre Svedjic looked like he was going to be the rider to beat. He outpaced Krajcevic, scoring more points in heat races on this day, and Sammy Halbert with a tough set of heat races. He was scoring 0 on his first ride, picked up a couple victories, and then a second place as the heats progressed throughout the day. But Halbert put himself behind the 8 ball a little bit and didn't necessarily have the best starting pick for the main event on the initial start. Got pinched off a little bit, was running back in about 4th or 5th. Andre Svedjic was out front, but Michel Guerrera was deemed to have jumped the start. So run it back, reset the field. On the restart, Svedjic again out front. Halbert gets into second place, stalking Svedjic, and dive bomb move into turns 3 and 4 early on. Looks like it caught Svedjic by surprise, would give Halbert the lead, and Sammy would be able to pull away and hold on. But at times, it looked like Svedjic had a better line coming off the corners. It looked like he might even have a faster bike on the straightaways in the early parts of that race. But the last 4 or so laps, Sammy Halbert able to pull away, and he actually would end up turning the fastest lap in that main event as well, giving him a bonus point for that championship. And Halbert brings it home, gets the victory, puts the chaos of that first round back in Italy behind him, and is right back in this championship hunt. Svedjic, another podium on the series, gets that second place finish on the week in Germany. Probably feels like one got away after how strong he was throughout the day in heat racing and getting that whole shot. Erwin Krajcevic would prevail in a battle for third over Tim Neve, come home third on the weekend there. Also, huge shout out to Jack Bell. After a rough opener in Italy, he's able to come home 6th. Speedway Grand Prix doubleheader weekend in Manchester, in England, at the National Speedway Stadium. A doubleheader of Speedway Grand Prix, a doubleheader of Mission Food CTR Flat Track Racing. We were just spoiled over the weekend, and I had to play a lot of catch up because I was also working sprint car broadcasts from Knoxville over the weekend. So, Speedway GP action. Night 1 saw Brit Dan Bewley have to charge from the LCQ just to make the final. And in that final, he got a great jump. He picks up the whole shot ahead of Bartosz Marslik and Brady Kurtz. And going into turns 3 and 4 on that first lap, Kurtz just sails it off in there. Crosses ahead of Smarslik, couldn't quite pick up the lead from Bewley. Smarslik turns it back under Kurtz, gets back into second. And Bewley and Smarslik were just basically grazing the air fence with those bikes around the National Speedway Stadium there in Manchester. And ultimately, Bewley able to pull away and pick up an exciting victory in front of the hometown crowd, or the home country crowd. Bewley, his first win on the year, super excited, coming to the LCQ, just putting together an epic ride. These Speedway bikes right there around the air fence. Every single movement on these bikes matters in these short sprint races. And it looked for a moment there on the last lap that Bewley left an opening for Smarslik to come through there in 1 and 2. But then coming off of turn 2 down into 3 and 4, Bewley went back to the bottom, real defensive, runs the tight line, and sapped any momentum Smarslik might have had or any opening he would have had to take the victory there. Bewley's first victory on the year, gets the win over Smarslik and Brady Kurtz. Freddie Lindgren coming home 4th there on the first night. Unfortunately for Bewley, night 2, not as enjoyable. Bewley would not be in the final. The likes of Smarslik, Kurtz, and Lindgren would be joined by Jack Holder on this final, and it looked like Brady Kurtz was poised for that first GP victory. He got a great start, was leading out of turn 2. I had a pretty good gap over Lindgren and Smarslik, but Smarslik hit that high line, and you could just see him closing, building momentum. So much speed with that 95 bike. Rails the outside of 3 and 4, closes right up on Kurtz, slices underneath him going into 1 and 2 on the second lap, picks up the lead, finds his way back to that fast higher line, and Smarslik would pull away for another victory on the season, his 3rd of the year. It's like we alternate here. It's like Smarslik wins, somebody else wins. Then Smarslik wins, somebody else wins. And then Bartosz gets back up onto that top spot. His third victory on the season, extends his championship points lead, but Brady Kurtz keeping him honest, picking up points in all these sprint races, making finals, really keeping the pressure on Bartos throughout this season. Brady's just been so impressive since coming on the circuit this year, coming on the Grand Prix season, making finals, like we said, and challenging the best in the world in just his first season Speedway GP competition. So Smars Liquid would get the win there on the second day. Lindgren comes from third, Jack Holder fourth. The Speedway GP keeps the momentum going into Gorjal in Poland next weekend as that championship continues to stay hotly contested. All those races can be seen on Racer Network, or you can watch the highlights that we try to link in our videos here on Flat Track Flashback. So that's going to do it with us today. Please, everybody, make sure you're supporting all those who are making content and doing all they can to talk about the sport of flat track. We love it so much. And we're just thankful for you guys for taking time to support those involved in the sport, for taking time out of your day to listen to me yap about motorcycle racing when there's 1,000,005 other things you could be doing right now. So thank you so much for joining us and taking in the content here. If you want to get a hold of us off of YouTube, you can always email us, flattrackflashback@gmail.com. If you're into the social media thing, we're on Instagram, and that is @FlatTrackFlashback on Instagram. No Twitter, no Facebook for me. I know I might be doing the channel a disservice, but I will not go there. I just don't want to do it. Too much stuff I don't want to be distracted by. I'm already crazy distracted as it is. Again, thank you guys so much for watching and supporting this channel. And yeah, we'll be back at it with a little bit of Lima preview next week. Man, it's crazy. We're almost to Lima, almost to Amateur Nationals, and full swing of summer. Just so much racing going on, and looking forward to every single second of it. So take care of yourself. Have a great day, and yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Love you guys.